It's Friday. Let's go.
Finally.
Finally, man.
Everybody's favorite day of the week. Well, unless you work Saturdays, then.
Yeah.
You know.
GG's.
Unless you like your job and you like to work Saturdays, then, you know.
Yeah.
Power to you.
Power to you, man.
You know.
Or woman. Yeah.
Or whatever you identify as. The curses of finances, specifically. So as much as people love to be rich in terms of wealth, in terms of money, I wanted to focus more on the thoughts of how can I put this? Like, the bad sides of what it's like to actually have money. And it's even just in the smallest scale, like just as small as $20 and just as big as $2 billion, you know? It's very fine lines with how you value it. And some people, believe it or not, don't realize that they need to be in a relationship with their finances. So if you have a toxic relationship with your finances, you're going to have a toxic situation with how you handle your finances too. So that was one point I wanted to mention. I didn't understand that at certain points, but then when I really thought about it, where it's like, how do you treat your money? Do you try to throw it around everywhere? Like, let's say you're with your partner. Do you throw your partner around everywhere? Do you keep it to yourself? You know, do you want to save it to yourself? Do you want to put it somewhere where it's going to come back and bring you more? Like, are you bringing something with your money in that way? You know, are you putting into it, or are you taking from? What are you doing with your finances, basically?
Right. That's a great. Those are actually some great talking points right there, and it leads me to ask: do you think money is a curse, or you think it's a blessing?
I mean, my thoughts on whether it's a curse or a blessing. It's very complex with the fine lines with how do you want to describe that, because money can be seen in a positive light and also a negative one. If, let's say, for example, you just live in nature and you don't use any money, then you don't feel like you owe the world anything. And I can give you a small little example of that.
Yeah.
I remember I went to Honduras for a week, and there was a guy, he said he was homeless, and he was just walking around helping tourists, and he was a really cool guy. He was really nice, calm, comfortable. And I actually was struggling at the time because I was in one of the neighboring islands. I was looking for an ATM, and there were ATMs that just didn't have any cash in them. So he said, yo, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to go help you find some money. So I said, okay, cool. So we go and we walk. And one thing's for certain, when anyone helps you in another country, it's not free. So please be generous and give to the locals.
That's true.
That are actually helping you.
Yeah. Even here.
It's even here. Anybody. Yeah. It really doesn't matter. You know, a king or a chimney sweeper, it doesn't matter. But anyway, so
bread or buns. I'm sorry. I'm just watching that video. Somebody was, somebody's like asking for help. You ask bread or buns.
Bread or buns.
How you paying?
Word.
bread or buns.
What's the exchange here?
Yeah.
What are we doing right now?
Yeah, nothing is free in this world.
Yeah, nah, it's honestly true. But in finishing that story, I got the finances and stuff, and I was like telling him thank you. I was like, do you want something to drink? It's hot out here. And he said, no, but if you could help me with a little money, I'd appreciate it. And I was like, yeah, I gave him a little bit of cash. And then he asked me where I was from and what I'm doing here and stuff. And I told him a little bit about my background. And he gave me a really strong piece of advice. And he said, listen, he was a much, much older person. And he told me that he used to live in New Jersey. He made a lot of good money. He had kids. He got married. Then he got divorced. And he decided to leave. He said that he was really miserable during that time, living his life in New Jersey with his kids and his wife and having a job. And he said that I felt like I was constrained. But while I live here on this island and I'm helping tourists, I feel the most free I've ever felt.
Wow.
And that kind of stuck to me, because I was just like, that's powerful, because it really has a lot to do with perception.
Wait, was he American?
I think he was Garifuna too.
Oh, really?
He was dark skinned, yeah.
Oh, wow. So he was from Honduras.
Yeah, I think so, actually. But I think he was from Roatan specifically.
Interesting. So he moved to the U.S.
Yeah, he moved to the U.S.
And realized he wasn't happy being in the U.S. He realized it's just supernatural, super superficial things.
Yeah.
I said supernatural. Yeah, superficial. I mean, supernatural has a lot to do with it if we get deep into it.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah.
But overall, though, the real message behind that was that it can be a curse and a blessing depending on your outlook and your perspective on it.
Right.
So some people need to also understand that you make the money does not make you.
Amen.
So if you're making the money, then now you become a slave to it, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when the suffering decides to follow through and you get all this other stuff. But if you make the money, if the money makes you, then whatever you have and whatever you own and whatever finances you have, as soon as it's gone, it's gone. You have nothing after that.
Yeah.
So you do not want to be in a space where if you're not doing something, it owns you and controls you in every aspect. So it's not like, for example, if you have to pay a bill every month and now you have to do what you need to do and God forbid you get sick. Now, if you don't have that money, now you're a slave to the money making you who you are. But if you didn't have that bill, then what would you really have to worry about besides maybe eating or getting your simple drink of water or your basic necessities? Basically, I could put it like that. That's basically what I was going towards. So for me personally, is it a curse or a blessing? I just wanted to finish off this point. It's very tough to say and how to answer that because I believe it is a blessing depending on how you use it. And one of the biggest things I like to emphasize is discipline and responsibility. And I think that if you're looking at it in a relationship sense, if you come in with discipline and responsibility with whatever relationship you have, even with money, with people, with yourself, you're going to see the fruits of it. But if you do not have that discipline and responsibility, then it becomes a curse.
Yeah,
that's
my
point.
That's true. That's the saying that goes, if you ask God for money, God will give it to you. But then you'll quickly learn if you're ready or not. Because there's people who wish and pray like, God, please give me, well, let's say you ask for $10,000, right? Let's say you wanted $10,000 to buy a car, right? That's what you wanted. The minute you get $10,000, what you start doing? You start, if for girls, they start buying nails, doing their hair, buying fancy jewelry, nice clothes, expensive bags. And then for the guys, they start paying for prostitutes.
Yeah, they start doing things they're not supposed to.
Supposed to do, yeah.
For whatever reason, like I don't want to shoot out Lil Durk, but he be doing dice games, and there's people that do things that they're not really supposed to be doing. They're running out into Las Vegas and spending thousands of dollars. Some people repossessing their own homes. Like it's just like, what are we doing?
Money
like,
shows who you truly are.
Yeah, it really does.
And it's funny because I always, growing up, when I heard the song with Biggie Smalls, he said, "More money, more problems." I was like. I was like, how does more money give you more problems? But now that we're older, you have more discernment, have more experience. Yeah, everything starts to make sense because, we're not gonna talk about our personal stories.
Oh man, another segment.
Yeah,
another segment. Yep. If you leave a Q&A and you want to ask specific questions, you could probably leave a comment or something like that. Well, we could probably touch more on those points, but not in this video.
Right, but. With that statement,
before you wrap up this one specifically, though, I do want to leave off on the fact that I remember I was speaking to somebody who made, I think, several millions at one point, and he said that he was coaching someone, and he went to him and he said, "Hey, I just made my first $1 million," and this guy he was making very, very serious money. And the person that he was talking about, he said that he was really excited, really ecstatic. He was like, "Yeah, I made it. I got this," or whatever. And he responded and said, "I'm glad that you're happy about that, but you also have 1 million problems too." And sometimes we don't think about that. So for every dollar you have, it sounds like you have $1 for every issue, because now what you can solve with that money, now there's a point where if you don't have it, you have a problem. Right. So if you do have $70 to pay a phone bill, you're good. Yeah. If you don't have that $70, what's going to happen to that phone? You're going to have to sell that phone for that $70. That's a fact. So if you have that perspective, you need to understand that money can buy happiness to only an extent, as long as it sustains you to understand that if you make problems with the finances you have, that's when the problems start.
Right.
So if you get yourself carried away and you're like, oh, I won the lottery, I got $800 million, and you're buying Lamborghinis and you're buying homes and you're buying real estate properties and stuff, and you're keeping it all to yourself, and that's wonderful, that's great. I'm glad you're enjoying all your things, right? Eventually all that money runs out, but guess what you have? You got the problems that costed whatever that was. So now you have $800 million problems. And some people don't know how to handle $800 million problems.
Yeah. Now, hold on. I'm about to cook. I'm about to cook because you cooking. Hold on.
Yo, I just want to point that out.
I'm going to tell you a few problems that I've seen personally. Well, let me not say me personally. Allegedly me personally. And maybe some other friends, right? So, hold on. I'm about to cook.
Go for it.
First thing I'll be seeing, common thing. You think you have friends and family, right? Watch when you get money.
That's it.
Watch how they all show up. You know, they ain't speak to you for years.
Out of nowhere.
People
you never heard of.
The women, the girls, you was in their DMs. You was like, what's good, baby? How you been? Ignore. You got some money? They in your DMs. Now they respond after 5 years. I remember I see a post about Bobby Shmurda when he first was popular. I don't know if you remember that. This was like 2013.
Something. Yeah, that was really early.
Yeah, and some girl posted herself like responding to Bobby Shmurda's DMs after like 5 years.
Which is crazy, and that was after the hype.
Yeah, wicked.
And it's crazy.
Wicked.
You know, it's another thing too, where you have friends that you fell off with, and you were also like hanging out with that friend, and you were trying to, talk to one of the girls or whatever and stuff like that, and they just didn't give you the time of day.
Right.
But then they still had you on social media and all that stuff, and they saw that you're putting a post and you're looking good now. You're doing your thing, you're traveling, you're making money, you're living happy, and then right here they come walking right into your DMs like, hey, Big Daddy,
how you
what
been?
What you trying to do? How you been? What's going on? Now they want to sit with you on a Friday evening and try to have you take them out and do all this nonsense and try to get into your pocket specifically. Not nobody else's. They coming into your pockets, specifically because they see the bag that you got. But when you didn't have it, they wasn't trying to do nothing with you. They didn't want nothing to do with you. Now that they see it, they're like, oh yeah, here we go. It's my time to shine. Now they're doing the Birdman and shit. Get that out of here,
crazy.
Bro. And that's really what happens.
Yo, you can really suffer though, because I never thought about it until you said it like that. Because it's like, hold up. You think this girl genuinely likes you, right? But then you find out she don't really like you. She likes the money. So now, that's heartbreaking because now when you're walking outside, you're socializing, you're networking. You're like, bro, is this person trying to use me? Like you don't know what's genuine or not.
Or you know what it is? Also friends too. When you start making money, some of the friends that aren't making as much as you want to start hanging out with you because of what you can do and what they can't do. Right. So they know that you can go and buy out an entire bar and they have $8 in their account. But you have
$8,000. Oh, my fault.
$300,000 in your account in assets and liabilities and all this other stuff. And they know that you missed the ball of pants and they only got $8 until the next pay period, right? But they would still go, hey, yeah, let me go hang out with him. Because guess what? Whatever he has, I can still use. Right. Because you let that access happen.
Exactly.
But you need to understand that when these things happen, it comes with two things, like I said, responsibility and discipline. You have to be disciplined to understand that these are the kind of people. These are the kind of people that are gonna take everything from you right in your face, and like robbing you blind. It's worse than anybody on the street just taking your money. It's literally
enemies are always closer to you.
Exactly. And then sometimes these are the ones that hate you the most. And the one moment you say no, I don't want to bring you around no more, they're the first ones to be like, that dude ain't shit.
They're gonna air out all your dirt.
They're gonna put you out on the dirt. Yeah. Literally, they're gonna throw you under the bus. They're gonna start exposing you. They're gonna start throwing all this nonsense on you, and you're gonna look at
wicked.
And you're gonna look at them like, yo,
demonic.
I gave you everything. I hooked you up with so much. Yo. And yet you threw all that back at me. Like I never did that for you.
You could do 99 great things. That one thing.
You do that one. Once you say no, that's it.
That's it. They don't know you. You're not family. You messed up, man. First of all, they was never there. They was never there for you before the money anyway. So all that fake love.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Once you start saying no, that's when the true colors start coming out.
That's
the truth.
That reminds me. I forgot who it was. What celebrity this was. So I remember he started making money, right? And then I think it's Shannon Sharp. No, not Shannon Sharp. I think it's Kai Cenat. I think it was Kai Cenat.
It's possible.
Yeah, when he started making money, and then
I know when he first started, he was kind of slow, like cause not slow in person or whatever, but like I know his
Yeah.
coming was a slow one.
Yeah, cause he
As
been
far as
working for a
streamers.
minute.
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
Man, and I peeped that as soon as he started up and coming, I peeped like all these girls started coming out the woodwork talking about,
I
oh, he did
remember
this
that.
for me, he did that to me. Yo, people
Yup.
are wicked.
That's what happens.
Oh.
That's exactly what happens.
It's how you know we in New York.
Yup. Welcome to the streets, bro. This is what we got out here, and this is what moves out here.
Yeah.
This is a common occurrence
Yeah.
every single day, and it's Friday, so that's and just summer day too. It's
Summer.
a Friday in the summer, and it's warm out.
It's getting active.
Activo. Activo.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man. What else? What was I saying? Oh, I was talking about all the things all the negativity that pops up, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I was saying, number one, I said, the fake love shows up.
Yep.
Right.
You definitely get fake love.
Yeah, fake love.
For
What's
that.
the next one? You got the next one?
You start having people you don't remember people you haven't heard from in a long time start to show their face or start to pop up.
I think that's part of the fake love one.
Okay, that's part of the fake
Yeah.
love. You also start realizing you have more problems.
Yeah.
You start
Yeah.
having
Oh,
way more problems.
that's a fact. Matter of fact, I was actually like watching a documentary about lottery winners.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them, man, I think it was like 80% or 90% go broke. Yeah, it's
They go
crazy.
broke.
Yeah,
They go
because
broke.
because you just give it somebody who didn't work for something, they just giving it all at once, and then
I mean, like, look at COVID. You saw how much people was making during COVID.
word, people
And
were
look at
complaining.
how much of them still got that COVID money after like what 2-3 years?
Like almost zero.
I
And remember, a lot of them were all complaining. They were like, "Yo, I don't got no money."
Yeah,
And they were all wishing for a blessing, like,
Yeah.
God, please bless me with money. They were all blessed with money.
Yup.
And none of them did anything with it.
Yup.
So what did that show us?
Yup.
Money is not the problem.
Yep,
It's mindset.
it's the person that,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's mindset.
Because at the end of the day, the money came to you, and what you did with it is showing what the results are. You have not done anything with yourself. You haven't grown as a person. You haven't developed anything. All you did was have a good situation and a good time, and it was a memory. And now look at what it shows for.
Right.
Nothing else more than that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I have a friend. I still think about him. He had like $19,000, right, in like student loans, and he was saying, "Lord, please give me money to pay off the student loans." Pandemic happened. He was telling me he was receiving like $800 a week, almost 1,000, something like that.
Wow.
He was telling me he was receiving like $1,000 a week in just unemployment. But because they was paying like an extra $600 of
Yes, they
unemployment.
were, and I remember getting that money because I was using that.
I was lucky. I didn't receive none of that. I was like
Yeah,
working in the hospital. I was working in the hospital. Man, I was getting paid. Bro, I can't believe I'm about to say this. I was getting paid $15 an hour.
Yo.
I was risking my life in the beginning of the pandemic, working $15 an hour while everybody's staying home making an extra $600.
Yo, the amount of money that they were throwing at us, man, it was crazy. Like literally, it was you go on a website, you click on it, you say I couldn't do this, and it took maybe like 2 minutes. And before you knew it, maybe that Tuesday, you already got hit with a stimulus. It constantly was
Just
hitting.
kept coming.
And it just kept coming. All it took was 2 minutes. And imagine making $600 in 2 days.
Man, and then plus the stock market was booming.
Yo, and the stock market was booming. Yo,
it was balling.
You weren't even having your expenses were almost like completely wiped.
Word.
And
everything was closed. You was not spending.
Yeah, you weren't spending nothing, but you was getting a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
and
those were the days, man.
Yeah, and now the friend that had that $20,000 student loan.
Yeah.
I asked him, so I was like, "Oh, so you got all this money? Did you pay it off?" He said, "Oh no, I just spent it." I was like, "What did you spend it on?" He said, "Bro, I don't even know." I was like, "What?"
It's crazy.
What is that, like 50? I'm not trying to like clock its money, pocket watch, but what is that? 1,000 a week times 52? It's 52,000, bro. He received $52,000. He said he was working crazy. At Starbucks, getting like 25K.
That's crazy.
So he got the blessing he wanted.
He got double the amount.
Double the amount, bro.
And didn't put any of it into what he said he wanted.
Nope.
To.
So that showed me that's all mindset.
It is very much mindset, and it's crazy because during that time I didn't have the mindset in terms of finances, but I guarantee you, if we had another COVID just like that, and they gave me the $600 every week, there is no way I'm going to be doing what I've done during that COVID time. There is so much I'm doing right now, even without COVID or DK. There is somewhat of a COVID in the United States and all this whatever. But I guarantee you, if they shut down the world the way they did and they started giving money around, there is no way I'm coming back into the world and not doing something much bigger than what I'm doing now. But stay tuned for that. That's a whole nother separate thing. But I'm not trying to, throw myself out there too much. But
yeah,
we're gonna talk about that later, most likely.
I'm gonna add like a different talking point as well.
Yeah, go for
another curse that comes with this. Yo, when you make your first I'm gonna say like 50. Let's give it a ballpark number.
Yep.
It's $50,000, right?
If anything, you could probably do the first part-time job, like even your first 20, you can make it realistic.
Yeah.
For some people working part-time, they're probably making their first $25,000 a year.
Yeah, and
You know?
what happens is these people, let's say they're able to save, let's say they were able to save 50K, or let's just say 20K, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They save 20K. In their whole lives, they were thinking like, man, I made it. Like, that's all I wanted. But what happens is people don't become satisfied.
Oh,
And
I got a talking point.
Yeah.
Continue.
Ooh, hold on. Yeah, we want to cook.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
got something for this.
So they're like, all right, yo, I need
Something for
20K, right? They get it, but they're not satisfied. It's like, yo, it's not enough. They felt, right? They felt like their stress will go away, their life will be fixed, but now they have zero debt, have money saved, money in the stock market, they got a house, whatever the situation is. Everything financially is good,
Yes.
but they feel unfulfilled still. They feel
feel-
sad, depressed, whatever the
Yeah.
situation is. So now it amplifies it because they had a pre-cognitive or pre-notion thought that, okay, if I get my money right, my feelings, my emotions will get
Yeah.
right, but it doesn't. That's why you have a lot of millionaires unaliving themselves. We can't say the other word on YouTube. Yeah.
They'd self-delete.
Yeah, self-delete themselves because they realized like this didn't satisfy my.
Self-delete.
Yeah, self-delete is crazy.
Anyway, but but
forgive
it's
those people.
true. Yeah.
Because sorry to cut you off, but
No, go ahead.
I remember thinking about I was watching like a podcast from the Airbnb host. I mean, not Airbnb host. The Airbnb, the person who created Airbnb.
Mhm.
He has billions of dollars, and he talks about he's not happy. He don't feel satisfied. I was
Mm.
like, that's crazy. And then Obama, he said he had a conversation with Obama, and Obama told him, you need friends because he don't talk, he don't socialize. Because when you become to a certain part, again, it's like the cargo point we talked about earlier. You don't know who's legitimate or who's just in it for the money.
Exactly.
So you kind of so when you become a millionaire, you kind of like a billionaire. You kind of separate yourself from people.
Yep.
You don't really know.
Yep.
But that's not healthy.
I'm gonna touch on that too.
Yeah, but while Obama's advice was great, he forgot he left out God.
Mhm.
Because what about the people? It's a lot of people who have money, friends, family, and they still feel alone,
Yep.
right? They
Very
still
much
feel
true.
alone. They don't feel satisfied. And the only way you'll become satisfied is to seek God.
Straight like that.
Pray every day. Ask
Yeah.
God to cast out demons.
Every day, bro.
Every day, pray. The closer you get to God, you'll start feeling fulfilled.
That is definitely the truth, man. And
Amen.
It's crazy, yo. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
First thing, but there was a term that was related to that, and I was talking to my girlfriend about this. Actually, I forgot what the term was. It was called what's the name of this? It's like it's normally, this is the popular term called keeping up with the Joneses.
Right.
But there's a different term specifically for that where you continue going up in life in terms of finance, and yet it's just not enough every single time. So one thing I could tell you is it's not like I'm unhappy with the amount of money I make now, but I definitely felt a lot more comfortable when I was working part-time and I wasn't making as much.
Ain't
So
that funny?
and
Isn't
it's
that
very,
interesting?
very funny, and I wanted to touch on that specifically because I can tell you like this, right? So my second actual position before COVID, I was working part-time doing assistant coaching for a tennis program, right? And while I was doing this program, and every time I did my W-2s, I saw how much I was making, and I wasn't making much. I was probably making like, I don't know, maybe $24,000 a year, right? Working part-time.
Sorry to cut you off,
Yeah,
but
go
it's funny
ahead.
because somebody watching this in a different country would be like, $24,000 not a lot, but for
Yo.
reference, guys, 24,000 in the United States, poverty levels.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much poverty levels.
Yeah.
I was still living with my parents. Like I said, I was only working part-time, but what made it more fulfilling wasn't just the money itself. It was the fact that I still had a level of access and I lived under my means. So I still had money. So I kind of learned a little bit how to navigate my part-time living. And despite anything, I always had money. That was one of the weirdest things for me. I always had money. As a part-time person. Number two, my parents, while I was living there, they were still paying their own rent. So I wasn't assisting on the rent in the house because my parents, they were like, no, you don't have to pay the rent. Even if I wanted to help, my mom was just like, no, don't help me. Don't give me nothing. It's okay. Like, please, I don't want you to do anything. But what I ended up doing was I sustained myself. Well, whatever I was making part time, I took care of myself. I never went to my mom for anything. I never went to her and said, "Yo, can you give me $20, $50 for nothing?" I didn't go to her for a single amount of money. And there were times where I was like, "Yo, like if you need some money, please let me know." Like I'm working part time, letting her know. Please let me know. And she was working full time. I think I was actually making a little bit more than she was, which is crazy. But that's a whole nother story. But when I did my tax returns and I did see money coming back after I did my tax returns, it did feel satisfying because not only did I accomplish something most adults should do, but I also felt that I didn't work as hard as I needed to. I also had time and I also had that balance. So it's like I had time, energy, money, and I can still have that roundabout of being comfortable, and it didn't seem like, oh snap, I had to wait till the next 2 weeks to pay my phone bill. And that was another thing. One of my biggest expenses was my phone bill and stuff like that. But if anything else I needed within my financial range was maybe travel or something like that, I was paying all of that myself. I wasn't asking my parents for anything. Mm-hmm. So if I needed my phone bill paid that month, I probably paid it maybe 2 or 3 months in advance. So that was one strategy I did. So if I could pay a phone bill for 4 months straight, because I had better finances, I was paying my phone bill for 4 months straight. So what ended up happening was I ended up started saving more money that way. And now I started realizing that even if I'm doing part-time work and my expenses were low, I'm still living really well. And some people were like, how are you doing that? Like, what is the secret and stuff? And I'm looking at them and I'm like, well, it has a lot to do with the lifestyle that comes with it. And for me, because I live under my means, it works out. So I definitely want to emphasize that living under your means always helps.
You know what I noticed too? I was just having this conversation with my friend the other day. She makes like $75,000 a year, right?
Yep.
And she talks about like how she's struggling, and she talks about her friends who are unemployed or her friends who make under $30,000 a year are the ones who always help her out, always got the money. And she was like, why is that? Why do people who make less money always got more money than people who make more? And there's two things I can think of, right? Number one, when you don't make much, you're forced to save, right? Yep. So you're thinking like, okay, I'm only making $400 a week. That's not really enough to survive in the U.S. or New York. Yep. So you really stop and really like try to categorize or try to like save your money. You're really like careful how you spend versus somebody who's making $75,000 a year. I don't know how much that is. What is that like?
After taxes,
$5,000 a month or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing a low
after taxes, it's probably like 5,500.
Something like that. Yeah. So to them, they're receiving so much versus, let's say, because they probably started making less in the past, so now they're making more. They don't really count their money; they just balling out. So they don't really care too much.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I always see that's usually the problem. And then the second thing is that if you're middle class, you technically make less than somebody who makes under $30,000 a year.
That's true.
Because if I'm making under $30,000 a year, I also get benefits, Medicaid, food stamps, everything. Yep. So I'm technically making more than you.
That's another one. That's true. I actually had free insurance during that time as well. Sorry about that. I also had free insurance during that time as well. So I didn't see all the expenses. So it does strain you a little bit more when you do more rather than when you do less, which is really crazy how that works.
The laws here don't make sense. They do that intentionally.
Because they definitely do it intentionally.
Yeah, because, for example, my friends who make like, let's say over 40K, let's say they're making 70, the example I made, 75K.
Yeah.
So after taxes, after they make 75K, they're coming home with like like 60K, let's say.
Yeah.
Right, maybe. And then after all that, after 60K, how much you bring in a year? You're bringing in like maybe 4,500, something 45. Like that. 45, I don't know.
Maybe like
ballpark number.
Maybe like even 50 if you're lucky.
Yeah, maybe 40. Yeah, 4,500 a week. I mean, a month. A month, I meant. Yeah, or something like, I don't know. I'm just throwing a ballpark number. Yeah.
Or maybe 5,000.
Something like that. Yeah, and what you call it? After all their expenses, they have to pay health insurance.
Yep.
All their food, the whole nine. But if you're making under 30K, right, you're only receiving, let's say you're making 30K, what is that, like 500 a week or something? Yeah.
They give you everything. They give you everything.
You get affordable housing, you get Section 8, you get like
you get food stamps.
Medicaid. You don't pay for nothing.
Healthcare.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
Yo, now that I think about it, yeah.
So
like,
it doesn't make sense to make more money, and that's why they do that. They do that intentionally.
yeah, that's
Like
true.
I've noticed, I'm not gonna say what group of people, but there's a group of people that purposely take advantage of that, and which is not a bad thing. I've been taking notes. For example, they'll have one person who actually makes some money, maybe like one or two people who's making over
Hey.
100K, right? And then you got the other people in the household who are not working, but they get the food stamps and things like that, and then
Yep.
that's how they make it work.
Yep. If
And
anything, no, that's actually kind of smart. Because think about it like this, right?
mhm.
Oh man, I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this, but you know what? Let me
Yes,
rephrase.
cook.
Let me word this differently.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, right? You end up becoming a partner with somebody. Let's say, for example, you partner with someone, and one person doesn't work. They just don't work. Then there's another person that's head of household. The other person doesn't work, and if they work part time, right? Let's keep that scenario, right? Because of the fact that they're not working or they're partially working and you're working full time, that household is very capable of having benefits. As soon as that person starts working a lot more than they're supposed to, all that is gone automatically. And then that's when you're like, what was the point in those benefits? Because that's also the reason why I ended up having to move out of my parents' house, because I started making way more than my mom did. And they were like, yo, we're going to start charging you like Manhattan rent now. And I'm like, I ain't paying that. Oh hell no! I'm out of here. I'd rather pay my Manhattan rent by myself. And it's crazy because these are project living environments that they're charging Manhattan rent for. All because I'm working harder than most other people, and because I decided to be a responsible person that
Now
didn't
they
want to
wanna penalize you.
Yeah, because I didn't want to have 3, 4, 5 kids in my parents' house, and now that I'm making so much more, I have to start paying health insurance. Now I have to start paying back taxes.
Right.
And is that really the benefit that you want? And some people don't even think about it until they're actually there. And for me, it's crazy because when I actually started doing an actual salary job and I saw my taxes were being garnished like crazy, then afterwards I noticed that they took my health insurance away. And then I started noticing that my bills started piling up. And then also, because I did move out of my parents' house, now I have a bigger expense because now I have to pay Manhattan rent. So when I was working part-time, I wasn't paying Manhattan rent. I wasn't paying health insurance. I wasn't paying these big bills and stuff like that. I wasn't seeing any of this. So now I'm like, yo, is this really the way to go? But now the strategy is, and this is why it kind of makes sense, where certain people will actually partner with someone. They would say, if you work part-time and I work part-time, we can live under part-time living and say we're doing full-time work, get the benefits, and still have an honest, good way of living. And that's possibly a strategy. Even though there's some people that are actually doing very well, making 6 figures a year. They have a partner doing 6 figures. Some people are paying $6,000 in rent in some places in New York, which is so crazy to me, but some people do it. But there's other people where it's like, you know what, I'll finesse the system. And it's crazy because some people actually live in wonderful looking neighborhoods only making almost minimum wage. And I'm talking about less than $35,000 as a couple, which is crazy to even think about. But they live under their means and they live super comfortable. The fridge is filled because, again, they get food stamps and all that stuff. And because I'm responsible, I can't get food stamps either. So now it's like, yo, I got to go out of my pockets to make sure the fridge is stocked up. My health insurance is covered. And let me just finish off on this final point. I remember I tried to changing health insurance plans, and they told me by estimate that I would have to pay $120 a month. That's $12,000 a year for health insurance, where I'm not even chronically ill, and I still had to copay. Do you know how crazy that is? And them copays are not cheap. And then that basically means every time you visit the doctor, which imagine you have to want to go visit the doctor every 3-4 months, because I believe in health. How much are you really paying? You're not paying $1,200 a year. You're paying close to $20.
Yeah.
Because that adds up, and you're just like, yo, like this is. What is this? So now, if I'm making $50K and I'm paying $1,200, now I'm down to $42. Then I'm paying Manhattan rent. Now it's down to like 30 something. Then afterwards, I'm paying for this and that and this. And now, what are you really left with over the span of 12 months?
Right.
Practically pennies and lint.
Yeah.
Like it's a ripoff, you know.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
That's my tangent. I just had to let that
You're
off.
cooking, man. You're cooking. So I actually want to add on to something you said. Cause you said something. You were talking about rent, and I thought about, New York City rent, because what I'm about to say is gonna offend some people, but if you're paying full rent in New York City, you're an idiot. Because here's the way it works. Some people are always like on the internet wonder, how does everybody afford $3,000+ a month in rent? Bro, we're not paying 3,000 something a month. We're not. So this is the way it works, right? Number one, you can add to the list if you want. But number one, some people get Section 8, right? So that $3,000 rent, they're paying like $400 a month, right? The projects, what else? It's a lot of rich people in New York City. So they buy the whole building. They're not paying rent. They buy the whole building, right? What else? Plus when they buy the building, you know, they rent to other people.
They'll put their friends in there too.
Put their friends in it so they can pay. They're not paying rent. Other people, there's some, like, you see a lot of people like living like, what's the rich area, like the West Village, Lower East Side, all that stuff. Yeah, a lot of these people bought these apartments like years ago when it was worth like less than $10,000.
Yep, they were probably maybe like they were probably around like the figures of maybe $5,000 or $6,000 during the time of what, maybe 1980s, 1990s.
Yeah,
these were still nice neighborhoods.
And
like,
now they're worth like millions of dollars for one apartment.
Like, you know, it's crazy, and that's true, and it's crazy because I remember when I was with Theo one time, he took me for whatever reason. He always took me out. It was me and Thea too. We went to we went from 180th, that was when they was living all the way up there, all the way to 14th Street, right? And they were like, oh, we're gonna go visit like a family member or something. I'm like, okay, cool. So I remember taking the train, getting off on 14th Street, and then we took the bus, and then we went to like the right, so I'm assuming like maybe like First Ave or something, and there was a really, really nice building there. And there were like Hondurans living in this one apartment. I think it was a co-op, and this was back in like 2003.
Where was this?
It was like down in like 14th or something
really?
That, over down there, and I'm like, how do people afford this? Why are my parents still in the projects? And I thought about it, and this was me when I was a kid. I was like probably 8 or 9 years old. And I just thought about it, and I'm just like, the place looks super nice. They had a really nice mounted TV. The couch was nice. The apartment was huge. Yeah. For New York standards, it was huge because people rip everybody. People rip New York because of the closet size apartments. Closet size apartments, but 3,000. For New York standards, that apartment was huge. It had like 3 bedrooms. It had like a bathroom. Then it had like all the amenities, you know, like the roof space and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, what kind of money do you have to have this? I don't even know if they were really paying rent, but I can only imagine that whatever they were paying probably wasn't even that much. And this is Manhattan we're talking about, and Lower Manhattan specifically. We're talking about downtown Manhattan, where like the area is very, very, very affluent. Let's just put it like that. It's comfortable down there, and they're probably still living there to this day. I don't know if they own it anymore, whatever. They probably bought that wholesale. Probably was like a co-op for what, maybe $700,000, and they probably finished paying it off by now. So now they have a $1.9 million co-op down there, or maybe even more, maybe like 2.9 because of how expensive the property tax in New York is. But I don't know. That's neither here nor there. But I definitely remember that so vividly, and I was just like, wow, like that's crazy. Yeah. Centralized there too. But anyway, that's crazy. I just had to leave that. That's crazy.
Centralized there in New York?
That's
crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Well, New York City specifically.
I just had to throw that out.
That's
too.
Rare.
I just had to throw that out.
Yeah. But you know what's crazy? You know how the goal, right, is to move out the projects, right?
Yep.
You know what's crazy? How since we're dealing with like mass inflation and like loss of jobs, the people who didn't leave the projects during the pandemic are the ones in success. The ones who moved out and got their, let's say, their apartment in Atlanta or even here in New York City, they're the ones suffering right now.
That's the truth.
Because the people in the projects are chilling while everybody rent going up to like $3,000-$4,000. People in the projects like, oh, I'm still paying $400 a month.
That's the truth.
It's like, damn.
That's the truth.
I'm glad my mom made this to me, man. I told her. Oh, they say I'm about to expose myself. I'm deleting this part. I'm about to tell people I live in the projects. Deleting that part. Anyway, next topic. But
this part gotta go.
Yeah, this part gotta go. Yeah. But so another topic about the money, right, bro? So you know when what's his name? DJ Khaled.
Yeah.
DJ Khaled was making a song. He was like suffering from success. I was like, how do you suffer from success? But then I understood later.
Yeah, once you actually, yeah. And it's crazy. So I was going to talk about this too in the video. Sorry to cut you off. But If anything, no. Actually, I was working on creating a workshop about success and how success is subjective, because success is very much perspective.
Yeah.
So what's successful to you is not as successful to somebody else. So like, let's say for example, you have a farm, and you have 3 sheep, right? And you're like, as long as I have 3 sheep, I'm successful. Then a wolf comes and kills one of your sheep.
Yeah.
The wolf feels successful.
Right.
You feel successful now.
Yeah.
But that perspective is that, like, if I had less than this, I'm unsuccessful.
That's a great analogy, by the
But
way.
the wolf is like, I just needed one.
Yeah.
And I'm great. I'm lit. I'm chilling. But
Yeah.
if I had none of that, I wouldn't be all right.
Right.
Basically. So I just wanted to point that out. And it's like, you know, even though DJ Khaled might be a millionaire or whatever, the fact that he's already in success and he's just like suffering shows that no matter whether, and I think I mentioned to you before, I said that the millionaire is suffering just as much as the person that's homeless.
Yeah.
And
Shit.
some people,
Shit, homeless people tend to be happier.
yeah,
if anything,
and
yeah.
it's crazy because some homeless people tend to be happier, and it's crazy because some people think that just because you're of higher status, things are okay, but in reality, it's not. There's some people that are living in penthouses just alone by themselves, can't even be able to sustain themselves,
God is the answer.
and it's sad because even though you have everything, there's still stuff missing, and people don't realize that we can never satisfy ourselves, and that's just something in human nature naturally, and it has a lot to do with the fact that there was something missing, and like he said, it was God. And once you fill that space with God, everything feels satisfying after that. It could be just as the smallest thing in the world.
That's
and
right.
I want to definitely emphasize that. But when some people are missing that, it doesn't matter how much is around you. You realize that within the spirit itself, that small part is missing means everything. That is the real message on that.
I want to add on to that because, all right. So this is a great analogy. At least I think it is. So I like to make this analogy about AI. Right.
Yeah.
We're all like AI. So basically, you know how with AI, we are. You know, for AI to work, we have to connect to a server, right?
Yes.
So in essence, it's like when you're not connected to the server, the AI doesn't work.
Right.
And it's just kind of like you ask it questions, like let's say the software is downloaded on your computer or on your phone. You can ask it questions, but it's very limited.
Yes.
Right? Versus if you connect it to the internet, like it's able to respond to you and it works
give you
better.
what it's supposed
Yeah.
to. Right.
So it's the same thing as us humans. If we're not connected to God, we're very limited what we can do. And when we try to work without God, it's like, bro, we're gonna keep hitting a dead end.
Yeah, so
end
like
of the road.
even in the same connection that you can mention too, where it's like even if you connect on that level with someone else, you're only getting somewhat of the surface level. So like you can talk to the most evangelist person, a priest, someone that prays every single day. You're gonna only get so much out of that one person. But once you really reach their spirit in a deeper level, you start to understand that this is something beyond what you can understand and comprehend. And that message specifically isn't going to come from anybody, because that message is specifically for you. And nobody can bring you that message but the Father itself. That's all it comes down to.
Amen. Some powerful stuff.
It's real stuff.
Which is why it all goes back full circle into like suffering from success.
Yeah.
Because you don't have God,
You ain't got nothing.
it don't matter. It
You
don't
ain't got
matter how
nothing.
much money you got, man.
You ain't got nothing, man.
Yeah, you're just always going to be like, it turns you lazy.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you an identity crisis.
Yep.
Just like
Everything negative related, it basically comes full circle. Right in there.
Extra harder. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. So let me ask you this: if you were to ever get rich, right, like you become millionaire, billionaire status,
Right.
would you put yourself in the public eye, or would you want to be a private millionaire
So
or billionaire?
So, I'm gonna answer this in a very handball kind of way, where it's like I'm gonna throw an answer, but it's gonna bounce back in a way. You're gonna understand where I'm coming from. So my answer specifically is I would like to be behind the shadows and not be seen. However, the problem is that as soon as you earn those riches, you automatically become that celebrity, because not many people are in that space. And you can see that based on the fact that if you pull up some numbers, how many people are billionaires and millionaires in the world? These people are automatically famous without them even wanting to be seen. So they're going to be seen regardless. So let's say, for example...
Actually, sorry to cut you off. Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead. Because I'm gonna remember this example because this
Okay.
is something very specific.
All right, perfect. Okay, so actually, from my understanding, the actual millionaires and billionaires in the world, there's lots that don't
Yes.
post. They're like private, like they
Yes.
don't post their things. Like,
Yes.
like I've heard stories of even millionaires saying they're going to go do business with people you've never even heard of.
Yep.
And they'll be hearing.
I've heard of that
like,
too.
the Middle East, India, Philippines.
Yep.
You've never heard these names in your life. You
Yep.
never hear from them. Richer than Elon Musk.
Yep.
I was like, wow,
Yep.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
But
But what I wanted, but in emphasis on that, where it's that like, let's say for example, we live in a neighborhood that, let's say, you know, let's say you're in a neighborhood with a population, like let's say you live in the projects. Just put it like that. Let's say you live in the projects. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter what projects, whatever part of the United States you live in. Let's say you live in the projects, and you're the millionaire. Everybody else is pretty struck on poor. You're gonna be the famous person locally. So
Hood
you
rich.
have exactly. So exactly. So people in your area are going to know you. Are you going to disappear from that fame? No, because you have a name for there. So let's say, for example, for the New Yorkers that live in New York, for example, we have that dude from Highbridge. I forgot his name.
A Boogie.
Yeah, A Boogie, right? Locally in Highbridge, everybody knows that name. So he's automatically famous in that area. He's probably a millionaire now. It doesn't matter. Even A$AP Rocky, like everybody in Harlem knew who that was. Like these are name figures that people know,
Mhm.
and they're famous because of the fact that they're known and they're millionaires, right? But it's almost impossible to hide under the millionaire background because you're so exposed in different ways. So it doesn't even have to be social media, and it doesn't have to be in terms of like exposing yourself. The fact that you are moving in a way that most people don't compared to everybody else is what sets you apart, and people notice. And that's where it comes from. So for me, I would love to be a millionaire that is in silence, but unfortunately that's not how it works, because everyone that has that level of position always is seen in the eyes, no matter what. So let's say, for example, we could even point the figure at Jesus, right? Jesus wasn't a millionaire or a billionaire. He wasn't Elon Musk. Jesus was a person that created miracles and actually healed the sick, right? And he became famous from that.
2,000 years
You
of
know
fame.
what I mean? He became famous from that. So when it comes to that fame connection and the success, it's inevitable. And that's where it comes from. And that's the analogy that I wanted to point out, because even, and it goes way beyond before we can even imagine. And this comes up into current events too. So as much as you want to hide from it, who doesn't know who Jesus is in the world right now? You know, almost everybody does. If you say the word Jesus, they're like, yeah, I've heard of that person. They were in this book. They did miracles. They healed the sick and stuff like that. But this person wasn't a millionaire or a billionaire. They just healed people, turned 3 pieces of bread, 3 pieces of fish and 5 pieces of bread, and fed the whole entire
village.
Entire village. Like that stuff like that makes you famous. And it doesn't even have a monetary value. It's just the fact that the impact that you provide, it doesn't matter. It always comes with the eyes.
Right.
Anywhere. It doesn't matter. Like the small gestures paint a picture, and it paints a big one. So, again, like I said, I want to emphasize that, like, I would love to be a hidden millionaire, but unfortunately the world just doesn't work like that, even in biblical times. So if it didn't work in the past, it's over for you. You're gonna still be in the eyes of the public no matter what.
Well, while you're right, I'm gonna slightly disagree with you. Because right now, right,
I'm gonna also back up with what you might say too.
Because there's a lot of net worth millionaires in the U.S.
That's what I was gonna say.
Because a lot of houses that were worth like $100 before the pandemic, all worth $1 million now. So now it's just like we have the most millionaires in history.
That's true.
But now at the same time, $1 million is not even worth much anymore.
It's not.
That's crazy.
And it's crazy. Yeah, it is crazy.
Isn't that funny? People, I know people outside the U.S. watching this. Like, what you mean $1 million? Man, come to the U.S. Everything expensive. Remember Jeremy? He went to Germany. That rhymed. Germany. Remember Germany? Jeremy. He went to Germany. He was showing us like he bought a beer, fries.
Yeah, and that that
burger.
curry glizzy.
Yeah,
that curry glizzy was crazy. I don't know how y'all do that in Germany. I'm sorry, but that
I had to eat sausage with everything.
Yeah, I don't know how y'all did that, but like if you threw hot sauce on there, it was over for you.
Pause Germany. We gotta give it a name. Pause Germany.
What you call
German
it?
pause. I don't know.
I don't even know what
I don't
that.
know, one day,
It's gonna
bro.
come to me
It's gonna
eventually.
come, bro.
It's
Germany's
gonna come to me.
Pause, bro.
Yeah, that was.
You from Germany,
y'all
bro?
Crazy
pause.
for that.
If
Y'all
you
crazy
if you
for
from
that.
the U.S. and you stationed in Germany, pause.
Yeah, y'all
That
crazy
was
for that.
crazy.
Y'all had no business doing that.
If you ever
But know
visited
what?
Germany, pause. Oh wait, I
Yeah.
visited Germany. I
Oh.
would see. Pause on me. Pause on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, pause. Yeah.
That's
But I
crazy.
didn't know Sasha's when I was out there.
Oh yeah, that's
I
true. So
swear I
now,
did
like,
not.
if you land in Germany, you gotta say pause before
You
you
gotta
land.
say pause, right?
Yeah,
Soon as you get to
Yeah.
the soon as what you call it, the people that check your passport.
Yeah, just say no homo, but here.
Yeah, no pause here.
Yeah, no homo. Right when
Yo, you
right
think we're
when
gonna
the
cancel
TSA,
for this?
You
Oh
might,
god.
but I don't know.
Oh god, we're gonna
I
post
don't
this
know.
anyways.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We'll figure it out.
Whatever we say has not does not align with
Yeah,
our employers, our
yeah.
family members.
We're just making jokes.
Yeah, we're just making jokes.
Only
Somebody's
only
gonna get
silly-
offended. You know
only
that.
silly statements.
Yeah.
Only here for fun.
Someone's always gonna get offended. You know
We're
that.
only here for fun.
Yeah. But still, pause on Germany. You gotta say, what do you say? You a bati man? Nah, let me stop. I might get canceled. Oh man. Let me stop. Alright.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but alright, so I guess we're done with this. You wanna give the people any advice before we end it?
In terms of finances, I could say maybe 3 key points specifically. Currently, right now, in the recording of this specific moment, saving does nothing. If anything, it does less.
Right.
That's one thing I want to say. Understanding your relationship with money is very important, just as much as you understand the relationship with yourself and others.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to understand how you want to have that relationship with your finances, along with yourself and others, because all of them synonymously work around each other.
Right.
And my last final point I would say is don't be afraid to give your finances, even if you have little to nothing. Especially because
and you always come back.
Yes, because one thing about life is about give and take. If you give, you receive, but if you don't give, you don't receive.
Biblically speaking.
And that is the truth.
Even people who don't follow the Bible, it's
Yep.
like what do you call it? Law of attraction. Even that says it.
Yep, and that's the truth. And it's very much the truth, because if you think about it like this, right? If anything, I remember I was reading this book, and it specifically said that the first thing a human does when it first is born, any living being or any living creature, the first thing it does is actually breathe out, right? And then you breathe in. So in order for you to live your life, you have to breathe in and breathe out. So you do this every single day, and that's the rhythm of what life gives. So if you're going to do this in life, once you first begin your life, you have to do the same in return for yourself with your finances. So if you're going to breathe in and breathe out, you give out carbon dioxide, you receive oxygen. You have to give money, you have to receive money. So if you keep it all to yourself, you can't do anything. But if you give it all, you can't do nothing either.
Right.
So you have to remember to be in relationship with just giving and taking. So
yeah, if there's anything I would like to leave is 3 things I like to say. Number 1, don't focus on saving money. I know that's what you said.
Yep.
Number 2, focus on cash flow instead. Because they just keep printing money, so you're saving $10,000, and the next year your $10,000 worth $5,000.
Yep.
So focus on cash flow.
Yep.
And then number 3,
Very
focus
true.
on God. God
Very true.
is what's gonna fulfill you.
Very true.
Money will not fulfill you. I'm telling you, the more money you make, and we thank God, we were both able to experience making some money,
Very
and we
much.
both shared that experience. Like, you know, nothing felt satisfactory after making that money. God brought that satisfaction. Yeah,
it's definitely true. Even
Yeah.
even on the worst days when I was like, man, I'm struggling until the next time I get paid. And listen, a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck out here, so the amount of struggle that I was putting myself through, trying to get a paycheck,
right.
It was draining me out. But at the end of the day, like, as long as I kept my faith together, I felt fine. You know, because no matter what, I know that everything's gonna be alright.
Yeah, God's always gonna provide.
Yeah, everything's gonna be alright. Like,
always.
you know, sometimes the rain comes, but some days you don't need that umbrella.
Exactly.
You know, so
Exactly. The bird. I think it said something along the lines in the Bible. The birds don't even worry where their next meal is gonna come from. Why do you worry? You know, God will provide. You just have to pray.
Yeah.
Just pray, and God will provide.
That's the truth.
So
Definitely true.
yeah. So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you watched all the way to the end, please leave us a like, so we're promoted in the algorithm, and please subscribe. You got anything else to say?
Yeah, if anything, if you're watching this, I'm working on my YouTube channel called The Inspire Empire. Also have it on Instagram, TikTok. What is that? I haven't started Twitter yet. I have Threads as well. Please give me a follow, shoot me a message, whatever.
I'll leave everything in the bio. I mean, that's not what they call it. They call it in the description. Yeah.
In the description.
Yeah, I'll leave everything in the description, guys. Yeah.
Definitely, if you want some insight or anything, I have a calendar set up a clarity call. We can talk, all those things. Give you some wonderful insight, some coaching if you need that as well. But yeah, other than that, that's all I've got. But
perfect.
As always, God bless to everybody, all the time.
Thank you, guys. And yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Anytime.
Guys,
Thank you for that.
have a wonderful day. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your
Likewise.
weekend. Take care.